Greetings. I come to you live from a virtually empty Alhambra. Oh, look at those hedgerows up ahead. This has been a dream of mine to come here for a long time now. And I'm starting to get a little bit of a, let's just say, pep in my step as we make our way towards the palace of the Nazarenes. Now the Nazarenes, or the Nazaries, as I think they're known in Spanish, were the last Moorish dynasty, back when the Moorish kingdom had shriveled to the size of just Granada, and the Alhambra was the capital building. But before that, 1492 was when the Moors were finally extinguished. They had reigned for over 7 centuries, ever since the conquest of the Iberian peninsula in the year 711. Mizu Tzitzak. And just as we entered the Alcazaba here, the Moorish part of the palace, well, it's all Moorish, but either way, the sun came out. The sun came out to say hello. It was cloudy all day. I'm being grilled to put my mask on there. Look at those turrets. There's a lot of cats out here in the Alhambra, just chilling, enjoying a little cat nap. I'm probably disturbing them, but they're like, what the fuck? I'll go back to sleep. Oh no, getting a little testy. It's not his fault, it's my fault. I interrupted the peace. Nice view of Granada down there. Cathedral in the middle of the city. White houses, they call that the Vega. The Vega is like the plain. And Granada was thought of as like a paradisical wonderland to the Moors, because when they arrived here, they found this beautiful plain and the Sierra Nevada up there, which were snow-capped even in the summer, allowing them to keep cool and providing it slightly more temperate climate and temperature than the rest of blistering hot Andalucia. We've got 4 flags: the flag of the EU, the flag of Andalucia, the flag of Spain, and I believe that to be the flag of Granada province. And here is the city of Granada unfurling beneath. Look at the beautiful uniformity of these whites. Burnt sienna topped roofs. Houses as far as the eye can see. I first became inspired by the Alhambra on a trip to Andalucia 2 years ago, when I found a book by another New Yorker, a fellow New Yorker, a man by the name of Washington Irving, who was lucky enough to literally live inside the walls of this palace at the beginning of the 18th century, 1828, 1829. And he wrote a book called Tales of the Alhambra. At the time, he was researching a book about Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus, of course, famously asked Queen Isabella for permission to sail the ocean blue in 1492, right after her and Ferdinand conquered Granada and conquered the Alhambra, finally reconquering the Iberian peninsula in full and kicking the Moors out of town. Anyway, Mr. Irving came to research his book about Columbus, lived inside the palace. I still can't get over that. He lived inside the palace walls and learned about the legends and the myths and the tales of the Alhambra, a place laced with legends. And already, I just feel the tantalizing pull of myth and spectacular, spectacular poetry being inside this luscious, verdant shrine to the ancient past. If there's one thing I know about Alexa, she loves laying down on hot rocks. After you, my love. After you. We're trying to look for the main palace, the Nazarid Palota, where the court of the lions and all that good stuff is. Seem to have been a little bit misguided. Oh. We're not in the Nazarid Palace, we're in the Alcazaba, which is the fortress. Oh, you live and learn. We're not in the Nazarid Palace, this is the Alcazaba. This is the fortress. Nazarid Palace is over there. Bourgognac. Oh, yeah. A good belly laugh. That's, I think, already my favorite part about the Moorish architecture is the intricacy and the detail they put into each and every wall. It just shows a lot of effort, class. The bells are toiling in the distance. Enchanting just isn't the word. It's something more than that. Something sublime and mystical and forgotten, but remembered all at once. Now I'm seeing what the hype was about. Before, when we were in that Alcazaba, the fortress, I was like, this is the Nasrid Palace that I've been dreaming of going to. But this is something else, really something else. They have this crazy rule here where you have to carry your backpack like this. I mean, I'll follow a rule or two if I can see the Alhambra in its solitary state. This is truly remarkable that nobody is here right now. This is really the big ticket item right here, the Court of the Lions. Truly the centerpiece, the capstone, the creme de la creme of courtyards in the Alhambra. Oh look, they all have different faces, you see that? Nose, big nose, skinny nose. Or maybe they alternate? No, they're slightly different faces. The 12 lions. Whew. There's an energy to this place. I can't quite put my finger on it. Wow. Look at that.
I really love that reflection there. You see it? Kind of the waves.
Oh wow. That's sick. Even a palace like the Alhambra needs some renovation from time to time. I'm starstruck. Wow, look at the Moors up there. Look at those ancient Moors painted on the top ceiling with their turbans. Oh yes. What a pleasure garden this must have been. Wow, really inspiring for poetry and art. This room is very average.
Yeah, but if you paint it and put some plants in the corner.
Yeah, you could do this room up. You could do this room up with some plants.
Such a nice city, you know?
It's incredible. This is honestly surpassing expectations. And my expectations were already tremendously, tremendously high. It's like, it's honestly laughably beautiful. It's unbelievable. Another thing I like about this place is they do a really nice job of like teasing you. You get little glimpses and you think, oh, maybe that place is off limits. And then eventually they let you go up nice and close.
And then you say, oh, I've seen the main thing. And the next thing is this way more beautiful than
Yeah. Each place continues to top its counterpart. Maybe they set up different architects to have rivalries and see who's gonna make the best room.
And I also see some logic in this place, you know. For example, if you see this garden, you can see that they try to do an oasis here, you know.
Yeah.
With a lot of shadow, the trees, the water is just cooling you down when it's too hot.
Orange trees on the outside. It's like framed like a paradise in some respects. Not a bad place to catch some sun, eh? Not a bad place to catch some sun. Oh man. I've been studying a lot of the early days of the Moorish conquest when Tariq came over from the Maghreb in Northwest Africa across the Straits of Hercules to come in and conquer the Visigoths, the Christians, and slaughter Roderick, the last king of the Visigoths. And there's all sorts of legends bundled up into that story. Gotta put the mask on. Pardon. Pardon, pardon. And that tale of conquest is something, nice lady, gotta be said, that Washington Irving wrote about extensively. And he learned a lot of the legends about that conquest while living here in the Alhambra doing research. I mean, talk about not a bad life, Mr. Washington Irving. Named after George Washington. Huh, George Washington, good president. Washington Irving, pretty good second fiddle.
Let's just say that they knew how to chill, huh?
Igen. Tudtek lehet pihenni?
Tudták, hogy kell pihenni.
Tudtek, hogy kell pihenni.
You know, it's kind of an art what we forget to create nowadays.
That's true. I'm enjoying savoring that art form. It's a very nice art form indeed. Look at what? Oh yeah. You can imagine the Moorish kings coming up here to look out and keep an eye on their subjects. Christians and Muslims and Jews alike. A real multicultural kingdom. Celebrated arts and music and poetry. The Moors were a lively people, to put it mildly. And after having this hugely inspirational, near lethal dose of ecstasy, basking in their brilliance. I'm excited to keep exploring the Moorish legends and tales and stories of Spain over the coming weeks here. Is that the River Darro rushing beneath? I believe it may very well be. It was about 3 Moorish sisters. They were triplets, Zora, Zoraya, and Zoraheda. And they fell in love with Spanish cavaliers that were imprisoned here because they got captured on an expedition mission from a neighboring kingdom. And the 3 sisters fell in love, and there was an aunt, a dueña, I think they called her. She was like an intermediary, and she made a deal. Anyway, long story short, the Spanish cavaliers, when they were released from imprisonment, they waited for the sisters to jump from the tower. And I think the eldest two, they jumped, but the 3rd sister, she hesitated, and it was too late. And she ended up staying here and dying. I think she might have even killed herself, threw herself from the tower. And they say that her ghost still haunts the Torre de las Infantas.
Do not hesitate. Jump. Right?
Do not hesitate. Jump. Have a go. We're heading now into the Generalife. Now, my impression of the Generalife is that it was more of like a court harem type place where the women were relaxing a little bit away from the palace intrigue. And the Sultan, I think, would have kept most of his harem here in the Generalife. A very sumptuous location. A great place on a hot 14th century summer's afternoon to come get a bit of shade by the fountains. Yo. Take a seat, take a seat. Line them up and knock them down. Line them up and knock them down. That's what the Moors like to do. They just lined them up and they knocked them down. That looks like a lemony orange though. Not quite. Are you sure? I think these are lemons, Alexa.
No, it's orange.
Yeah, you're right. Really?
Sorry guys, it's like a New Yorker, but I think only in the market.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
Amazing.
You know, you had to keep your sultanas in the harem. You had to keep them happy. Roses was one of the many ways, along with splendid jewels, luxuriant baths, plenty of handmaidens to play with. I think there's some round lemons though.
No, it's not. No.
Those are oranges.
It's the same. That is orange as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. These are for sure oranges. Yeah, you're right. They're oranges. They're light oranges. All right, yeah, they are definitely oranges. I guess the main thing about the Generalife is that you wake up every morning and have fresh squeezed delicious orange juice before luxuriating by your rose garden, grabbing magical views of the city, and just generally living in a state of paradisical splendor. Hola. Hola. What? What? Yo. This might be my favorite part of the entire complex. I mean, to be fair, some of the spots in the Nasrid Palace were a little bit more mystical, but this is tremendous. Oh yes. The funnel of fountains, the flowers. Wonderful. Exquisite. Absolutely exquisite. Oh, to be a Moor. Oh, to be a Moor. People often ask me, what period of time would you like to go back to if you had a choice? And, well, in December, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Right now, it's beginning to look a lot like Moor. It's just ridiculous at this point. Location after location, fountain after fountain.
Garden after garden, roses after roses.
It's almost like, all right, we get it, we get it. You guys knew how to have a good time. Well, it's time to make our departure. But color me very, very impressed. The Moors. The absolute Moors.
I can't because of the mask.
Moorish Empire. Only one Moorish Empire. Walking along singing a song, walking in a Moorish wonderland. Da 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 da. This is the man himself, Washington fucking Irving. Oh, I love this guy. Inspiration. Wow, I can just imagine him here, 19th century, frolicking amongst these gardens and learning about the Moorish legends. Thank you very much, Washington, for all the beautiful and tremendous inspiration that you've given me.